on. Okay, we're on page Chaf Bet. About to start the third mimer. This pasuk is related to the previous pasuk, as it says, Im tachane, im tekum alay milchala v'zot libotech. If a war falls upon me, this I am sure about. Vomer im hiyot ki batuach hu v'nitzuach hamilchama. If he wrote that he is sure about winning the war, but one thing I asked from Hashem, that I want to dwell in the house of Hashem, which means to be in a state of peace. Okay, what is this thing that a person is sure about winning the war? And this bitachon is in this specifically. Unless you say, I want to be in peace, which is the concept of sitting in the house of Hashem. You wouldn't need a war. What does it mean? I ask for one thing. What does that mean? Usually every mimer, it's based off a pasuk, and then it sounds like he's asking like just simple kind of human questions. And it goes based on what we just said in the previous Mamarim. This is going to explain. It goes the whole long explanation, then explains it at the end what it means. Okay, this is what King David really meant. We have to understand what it says above. When the powers of your soul, getting clothed in the limbs of your body, even though they are life force for the body, nonetheless. They become physical in relation to the limb and to your natural abilities of those limbs. What does that mean? Just like it's in the light and the life force of the soul that goes in the body, right? Because we're saying that you have a power of your soul to see. And that could see from one end of the world to the next. It could see the organus, all those things. But when your soul gets enclosed in your body, well, now you can only see based on your eyes, how good your eyes are. Okay. So too, it's a life force and the godly life force in the creations. Even though this is the light and the form of the creation, nonetheless. Being that this light, the ray of it gets enclosed inside of your body, so even the tziur and the or of your nefesh gets diminished as it gets enclosed in your body. So too in the higher worlds, different types of angels. In general, we're saying that everyone has an aspect of a chomer, which is the substance, and a tur, which is the form, which is like the soul and the body. But in the higher worlds, you also have a bechina called the soul and the body. The life force that's enclosed in them is infinitely smaller than where it came from originally, that was not enclosed in them. Like it says in another place, שלבד זאת שמשיגים איך שיתבותם הוא מאין ליש רק על ידי לבד. So he says the excitedness of the angels and the desire for them to connect onto Hashem, that besides the point that they're able to understand that their creation is me'ain liyesh, and that's only through ha'ara, through a ray. Shezeu b'chirat malchus d'Atzilus shenikra ziv ha'ara. This is through malchus of Atzilus called a ray. As it says, Melech Shmo Nikra Aleihem, B'chinat Shem Levad, only the name. V'mahuto Yitbarach Chadash Muvdal, God's essence is infinitely removed from them. Legamre Levad Zot, besides this, Hina Kol Echad V'echad Behem Ro'eh U'Mesig, Hachayut Shelo, Ha'me'aveh U'Mechayeh Oto Ma'ayin Liyesh. Every creation could see and grab onto the fact that the life force that gives him life is coming Ma'ayin Liyesh. And they could see how this life force is included in its source, which is Malchus of Atzilus. Right? Like you see a ray of the sun. This ray of the sun came from the sun. And there it's in a higher level. Ubechinat bitul betachlit sham, and you become bitul in the sun. It's completely batal, as it says in Sefer Shel Beinonim. Right, as we've been explaining, this is the avoda of davening, is to come to more and more to this realization that every single person is batal to the Ein Sof. Just in this world, we have more concealment, right? Because the light comes down further, and the kelim are much more stronger, so we feel like we're on our own existence. The angels could sense and understand where they come from. So the davening is to train yourself to see the ultimate truth of what's actually happening. Is to see that really it's also Yesh Me'ayin here, and really Hashem is creating it from nothing, and that's the true source. So up there in the higher realms, they could see and understand that their life force is dependent upon what's higher than them, which is Malchus of Atzilus, and from there they realize it's only a drop in the ocean of what actually Hashem is on a higher perspective. So therefore they constantly are in a state of Ratzo to be included into that, as it says in Eitz Chaim. Sheyesh kol minei datzach b'Atzilus. In the world of Atzilus, you have all different types of domim, tzomeach, and chaya. Malchus is called a rock or an Evan. Uvashem Shoshana, or a Shoshana, which means a rose. So from that ray comes down in order to give life force to a stone in the three lower worlds. It is enclosed with the three letters of Evan, Aleph Bet Nun. Evan Datzilus is the Evan in the higher worlds. The life force of Evan, of the stone. So to all the other names of the Malchus that's called in it, it's all that's the meaning of the Datzach and Atzilus. It's the life force of all the things down here. And this is that the light and the power and the life force of all the creations is found and included in its source. And it's over there in a much higher level, infinitely higher. And it's completely batal in that state. As it says in another place, one thing is dependent upon the next. The more light the person has, the more bittul he has. As opposed to the other side, the Sitra Acha is the more light you have, the more yeshus you have. But in Kedusha, the more light, the more bittul you have. And the bittul into the source, which is not even called light, at the source, this shows on the greatness of the light. And because of this, being that the angels are able to understand this, through all the ishtalshus of all the creations, kulam be'tzivionam yeshnam be'itkalut b'chinet malchus datzilut. Each one has an inter-inclusion into malchus of Atzilus, be'ofen meshubach v'naleh be'en aroch, in a way that it's infinitely higher. They could get great pleasure from going out of their limitation, from realizing this. They come to realize that all the life force in its source, it's completely, infinitely higher, that's completely spiritual. This causes them to want to leave their limitations of who they are. That's why srafim means that they get burnt up, because they get included into the source, they get burnt up. Because the life force in the source is infinitely higher. Therefore, the reaction of this realization makes a person want to leave all his limitations and just go out of all of his limitations. Just so this life force, as it comes into the creation, it gets diminished in relation to the limitation of the creation. But this light is a ha'ara, so when you realize the source of that light, then you want to leave the limitations and you go into the ayin. Okay, v'kalat or shenimshach al nivraim lehavotam v'lechiotam v'chinat koch hapol benifal b'derech kol be'en aroch l'gabei makora. In general, it's infinitely higher in its source than it is when it's coming to you. You're just getting a ray of what that is. Kanoida de b'chinat malchus shemit labeshet bebriya liot b'chinat makor v'chayid lenivraim de briya zeu b'chinat זהו על ידי בקיעת הפרסה שבין אצילוס הבריאה של בחינת אור של תולדה בלבד שבין הרוח לבין אור של לפני הפרסה והתלבשות האור בנבראים בראיהם נעשה לפי ערך מהות הנבראים. So when the Malchus of Atzilus goes into the world of Biyah, to Bria, it has to go through a parsa, which is like the screen, and as it goes in, it becomes infinitely smaller than where it came from in order to give light to those people to those creations in Bria. Because of this, this light that goes enclosed into the creations, and also the general light that's connected to the creations, even though that it's a light and a life force to the creations, and the physical part of the creation is called darkness in front of it. This light is also called darkness. Why? Because this light comes only to shine the darkness. Meaning like a pa'ula. It's actually not light in relation to where it came from. Okay, this answers the question we had many pages previous. Okay, what do you say?
It's compensating.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's a ray of the main thing you would call light, and this ray could shine to the darkness. So it's not really called a light actually. This light, even when it's enclosed in the physical matter, it's also called darkness.
It's like a one-eyed man leading the blind or something. Neither of them are like.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good mashal, yeah. Now, v'nikra esh schora. This is called the black fire. Okay, it's a very good claw we're gonna learn now. Okay, do it. Sheyesh esh schora v'yesh levena. You have the black fire and you have the white fire. Like in a Sefer Torah, the letters are from the black fire and the space is the white. Okay, what do you say?
So that's where the choshech is from?
Well, the choshech, the light that we call what we call light that's really choshech is the black fire.
Right, so it's light, it's a choshech.
It's choshech because it's a ray of the actual light, but that ray is going to shine the chomer of the nivra. It's actually
the invisible light force.
We say, wow, you feel light. That's actually feeling lit up by what we call light, but it's really that light is just choshech compared to real light.
Slightly less darkness.
Yeah.
So it's a light choshech.
Yeah, okay.
People associate with energy.
Say like that?
What do you say?
Bioenergy.
What about it?
Also, it's like they name for this light.
Oh, really?
When people say chi and stuff, you're saying? That's just what they were
Oh, chi. That's even a lower because Rav Chaim Vital says there's a Gemara where it says if you look in the mirror, you can see the shadow of your shadow, and the Gemara says that you have it's the most spiritual part of your physical being, and you could actually see it in the mirror if you look hard enough. And a lot of
they made to see your four-dimensional body or something.
yeah, it's such a thing like that. So, and a lot of healing modalities are to heal that part. And Rav Chaim Vital says you didn't even reach nefesh yet on that level. You didn't even reach nefesh on that level.
Yeah, but you think that's spiritual healing.
Yeah, you think you're being a spiritual guy and this and that. It's like you didn't even touch your nefesh yet. You know?
It's your goof, essentially.
Yeah, it's a goof. It's a ruchnis part of your goof. No, like nefesh, ruch, neshama. You didn't like to heal your nefesh is already a whole new level. I'm saying beyond that. Okay. Okay. So now the ha'or k'mo shehula ma'ila megera or lenivraim, the light that's beyond the limitation and the constraints of that it's for the creations. That's called esh levena. That's called the white fire. Va'or me'ir al lenivraim. And the light that shines to the creations, hagam shu b'chidat or v'esh, even though that it's light and it's fire, it's called esh schora. It's called the black fire. V'kmo v'ptila, like if you have a wick, ha'or hasamuch l'ptila nikra nahora ukma. The light that's closest to the wick is called the black fire. Black fire.
Yeah.
What do you say? Liotos. What do you say?
Ukam.
Yeah, black. Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah. Liotos amuchalaptila, being close to the wick. Vahu asoref machalaptila. This is the thing that burns and I guess consumes the wick, and this is called choshech. Right? V'nikra gam ha'esh nahora ukma. It's called the fire. It's called dark fire, black fire. V'alav shora nahora chavira. But on it shines the white fire, which is the ora bahir, the shining light. Kumakenu ba'or. V'achayot elokishim yivayim, so too in the life and the light and life force of the creations. Okay, as the famous mashal, it's brought in Tanya about the Yenuka, and it says that your body is like the wick, and then the light on top is like the Shekhinah that comes down. So this light is it's actually the dark fire that's shining onto you. Okay.
Pagashmi is, I think, the reason that one of the reasons anyway that it's a dirtier color is because it's dirtier. It has the pasos, the wick, and it's burning away.
Right, it's already attached to something that's physical.
Right, and
Yeah.
so the stuff of the wick is actually getting mixed in there with the fire. And
Oh, that's also true.
It's unclean. The fire that's further away from the burning thing is cleaner.
It's also true,
The
yeah.
stuff is destroyed already.
It's a ray.
Right.
It's a ray.
Yeah, it's
The
red.
light
It's
close to the wick is a light that burns the wick. It's
Yeah.
mixed up with everything else.
Yes.
Okay, so now
It's just a ray. It's like an aura.
V'hina ba'avoda the nefesh adam. In the person's avoda, in your soul, what are these two levels? Beit b'chinet esh anal, the esh chora of esh levena, black fire and white fire. You have both things. What are they? In who? It says samchuni ba'ashishot. V'amru b'midrash rabba shir shirim b'shtei eshot. What is ashishot? It says two fires. Esh lamata, fire from below. V'esh shalamayla, fire from above. Pirush ha matanot kahuna.
But not good.
Shazeu shamur azal le'afal pi sha'esh ba melamayla. Even though the fire comes from above, mitzvah lavi menehedjot. You have to bring it from a regular person. V'hainu b'chinat ava v'rash be'esh adam mo'er b'koch atzma v'yigato. If a person puts a lot of effort and toil to arouse a fiery love, al yidei hitparanut b'galot Hashem, by contemplating the greatness of Hashem. What does it say? Kol echad echad lefum shir delay. Each one in accordance with their abilities, yeah. Lahaliv nafsho v'libo v'lavar Hashem, to flame his heart and soul for avodas Hashem. V'yitbananut zot tu b'psukei dezimra. This contemplation has to be psukei dezimra. Behit havut kol mivayim ma'ayin le'esh. The fact that Hashem is creating everything from nothing to something. Everything is batul to this godly life force. This is the concept of the song of each creation. Praise Hashem from the heavens. First, you have to contemplate about lower things. Physical things. They have a godly power. Which grows them constantly, as it says, you have no herb down here that doesn't have a spiritual mazel that hits it and tells it to grow, which means you have to come to the realization that there's nothing independent of Hashem, and you start first thinking about the lower things. This is what makes it grow. Without this law, would not be able to grow at all. So too with all the physical creations. The hashpa of all of the life force, who is through the mazalos in the higher worlds. As it says, Ani ene et hashamayim v'hem ya'anu et ha'aretz. Shemashpi'im b'koch eloki b'chol tzava ha'aretz b'tatzmach v'arma. That the things from above, the mazalos above, give and are mashpia, the godly power, to all of the hosts of the earth in the four levels and in the four elements. Therefore, physical things are really batul to the ruchniest things, right? Because when you're born, since the body is so much choshech, and your soul is stuck inside of it now, so therefore, just the natural experience is that the physical thing becomes the most real thing. So the voda of davening is really to reverse the whole thing, to show to your chumris body that it should shine some light from your soul, and your soul should have that experience to connect and escape the limitations, to realize the truth of the matter, that everything is actually completely batul to the koch eloki that's within all creation. Like your body is batul to your soul. The fishu because that's what gives it life force. Without it, it doesn't have any life force. Therefore, the body is batul to the soul, and it's dragged after it. And only acts in accordance with what your soul wants. When a person knows and he feels in himself that the body does not rule him, kima nefesh, rather his nefesh, meaning he has to get to the point where he could realize that. In a tzaddik, whatever his body is completely ruled by the soul, it's very clear. But in a Benoni, his natural soul is very strong. So therefore, the animal soul is making some decisions over there, as it says in Perek Chavtet. It says, "Who are you?" It says if a person has a chance to be a Benoni, so then he's usually his decisions are being made by his nefesh behemoth a lot of times. If he's a tzaddik, then his nefesh elokis is running the show. Okay, but you have to come to realize. The whole avoda is to come to the realization that it's not the case. V'aguf nigar echar nefesh batalav. The body is after the soul and it's nullified to the soul. Dafka de bitosholo, through nullifying the body. Alidezehu chai meor haneshama. Through that, you start living from the light of your soul. When you, as brought down in Tanya over there, it says that if a person's soul doesn't start into their body, so this brings up a mashal from the Zohar. If the wood doesn't catch on fire, what do? You have to chop the wood, and then it's going to catch on fire. So you have to chop your body a little bit. It means break yourself, physical things, and then the soul could start shining in the body, and then your contemplation on godly things start actually working because your soul could shine in. Okay. Just like the body lives from the soul, is because it's a vessel for it. If a person has an issue with one of his limbs in his body, it doesn't become a vessel for the light of his soul. The limb does not receive the life force from the soul. And so too in the spiritual matter. Being that the body is nullified to the soul, so being nullified is the way to receive the life force. So the more nullified you are and the more subjugated the body is, then the soul will start speaking more. And it'll start running who you are more and more. So to all the creation. So in general sense, you have first sense we have it in the body and the soul. But in a general sense, everything that you see, every creation is completely nullified to the spiritual life force that's in them. All life forces through bittul, being batal elokut, who Dafka who kli shechye ma'or b'chayot eloki. Through this you will be a vessel to live from this godly life force, as it says, Yirat Hashem l'chaim, l'chen malachim elonim, chaim yoter. Therefore higher angels live more, mipnei shabatim she'abitul shabahem, because the higher bittul inside of them. Uvemet ken hu gam ben nivram tochtonim. So too in the lower creations. Shekulam betlim elokut. Everyone is completely batal to godliness. Chaim ma'or b'chayot elokim nimshach lahem al yedei mazalot. And therefore they live from the light and the life force, the godly life force that goes through the mazalus, rak shebenivraim atachtonim. But in the lower creations, eno nirah bahem bittul. We don't see the bittul inside of them. Mipnei gashmus v'chomer shelahem, because of the coarseness and physicality amongst them. This is when Adam Rishon ate from the tree of knowledge and made a big yerida in the world, to the point where they don't recognize any godliness. Before the sin, they would see clear bittul to godliness in them. As says the Midrash on the pasuk, the angels went to Adam Rishon and said, let's bow down to him. I think that's what it's saying. Adam Rishon told all the other creations, let's bow down to Hashem, that they had a recognition of Hashem. Okay, now after the Eitz Hadas, there's a big taruvis of Tov and Ra, and therefore you need to do a lot of work to come to recognize Hashem, like to actually be able to see that. Okay, now. Okay, and the be'emet kol nivra gashmi batel hu koach eloki shofea. The truth is, even though we have to do the work to recognize it ourselves, but every creation is actually batel to Hashem and to the godly light that's in it. Through this we'll understand above. So the spirit, the mazalot, how do you say English?
Yep.
consolations,
Consolation.
are batal to the spiritual consolations. As it says, "Gavo mal gavo shomer, shemazalot mekablim shif'am mishamar afanim." The mazalos receive their shefa from the waist of the angels. V'afanim chayut, and the ofanim get it from the chayot, and the higher angels. V'sham bavad kol echad v'echad batel b'tachlit el gavo menu, and everyone is batal to what's higher than them. Kol bitul kol alul el ilah, like every cause and effect, exactly. Every effect is batal to the cause. Ad makor rishon, until the highest source, shavaveh olam, hayatelion, the biyah, until the highest source which creates the world that's higher than biyah. What is it? It's dvar Hashem v'ruch piv. It's the word of Hashem. Malchus the Atzilus, which is Malchus the Atzilus she'ikara v'shosha the kul almim, which is the source of all the worlds. Darat Malchus, that the ray of the Malchus, Harei mitpashet b'chol olamot, it shines all the worlds. Ad gam v'olam atachton, until this lower world, dashba'at achayut shehu me'amazalot, the shefa from the life force that comes from the mazalos. Harei ikar achayut, the main life force and the foundation is the ha'ara of the Malchus that's enclosed in them and gets mashpia through them. As is v'ata mechayet kulam. Before that, all the worlds of Biyah is considered in a general sense. You made the heavens, which is the world of Bria, and the earth that everything's in it, in the world of Asiyah, Hashem created all these things, which are the letters of the higher speech of Malchus the Atzilus, which is the Inin V'ata, which is from Aleph to Taf. V'ata v'b'chinat ha'or ha'mitlabash b'otiyot. Aleph represents the light that's in the letters. This is what it says in Igros HaKodesh. Divrei Maskil Ivei Chayuchar, number 20. Shakav sha'aya melubash be'hakelim de Malchus the Atzilus. The ray, the kav, that was enclosed in the Kalim of Malchus Atzilus, but Ka Parsa Mehmet broke through the Parsa with him. The Or B'chayut Zenim Shem Cholamot, this life force goes through all the worlds. Everyone is completely nullified to the word of Hashem that's within them, as it says, that the higher creations you see, the bittul inside of them. But in the lower realms, you don't see it the same way. The truth is that they are also completely nullified to this life force. They are completely nullified in their essence. They have no existence at all. All of their existence is only from the godly life force that's given them life. They are not their own existence at all, as it says in another place. Being that they exist, they're completely nullified to the chayus eloki, the godly life force that's enclosed in them, and gives them life. Okay, so now he's basically giving you the tools on what is something that a person has to contemplate to make it real inside himself. Because when you know this, well, you're going to act differently now. You're not going to bow down to intermediaries. Like I'm saying, it's not just knowing it intellectually, because if you know it intellectually, you'll still bow down to your intermediaries right afterwards. But if you know it in your heart and soul, then you might not bow down to intermediaries after that. Okay? Now, when you contemplate on all this,
Rishon told all the intermediaries.
What do you say?
Rishon told all the intermediaries about that.
Exactly, yeah. When this gets absorbed in your mind, that the main thing is this godly life force, the source of everything, everything that exists is completely nullified to the original source. He says, for sure, you will have a reaction with your mind and your heart. V'acheshek ledavka boit barach, to have a desire to unite with Hashem. He says for sure it's going to happen. You have to just try it. He says for sure it's going to happen. Shehu ikar v'shorosh makor kol, which is the source of everything. U'b'chirat makor kol achayim elonim v'tachtonim, it's the source of all life, higher and lower. V'lo yichpot v'yitkashel b'chinat atafel batel makor v'ikar kol. You will not cleave yourself and your soul to be connected to anything that's secondary to that. Kamo mazalos, like the mazalos. Okay, because you can say, oh, I have this mazel, and today is going to be this thing, or your shlamazel. Even if you're shlamazel, you could still, if you're connected to the main life force, it doesn't matter if a person is shlamazel. Okay, because in the etzem, there's no. What's the difference if a person mazels like this or like that? It doesn't make a difference to the essence, right? You bow down to the mazel usually. Okay, so now hagam shlikarim mashbiim legabei hagashmius. Even being that they're called, even though that the mazalas are called mashpim in relation to gashmius, they are all things that give shefa to the physical things. V'gam v'alonim hem, and also it's higher than them is the ofanim and the chayos. Shekulam hem b'chidat nivraim u'mechudashim ma'ayin liyesh. They all created ma'ayin liyesh. Harehem tefilin b'telim b'tachid. They're completely nullified. The mazel means nothing. The angels mean nothing. Like it's all just nothing when you have to do the work of connecting your soul to Hashem Himself, bypassing all the infinite intermediaries. You shouldn't have a desire for the physical things that the mazalos brought down, because once you want Hashem, all the things that you thought you wanted, well, guess what? Hashem created all those things. So therefore, and Hashem that created all those things, it was only the word of Hashem that created all those things. So imagine Hashem himself, what he has. Okay, when you contemplate this deeply, you're going to want Hashem because he has the source of all the good things. Right? Like if you see someone that, like, I don't know, a really good artist or something, you're like, wow, I want to know him, because if he could do that, he could probably do so much more. So imagine, out of all the things that are good, it's only a tiny part of Hashem. So therefore, when you draw this down to your heart, then you're going to desire Hashem, okay? You'll be only in the light of God. And all the physical things, you're only going to want them for something spiritual. Not that you won't have any physical pleasure. Will be l'shem shamayim, for avodat Hashem ben Torah and Tefillah. V'sha'or eloki shebahem ya'ir nafsho b'chinat tosefet or v'chayot, and the godly life force will shine in your soul with an additional light. B'derech klal yirtzeh she'yeh gilui elokut b'olam, and you're going to want a revelation of godliness to be in the world. By this contemplation, why the main thing is godliness. All the creations, higher and lower, are completely nullified in relation to the Or and the Chayot Eloki. So then you make godliness something that is the main thing for you. And the physical things become secondary. This decision and this hanacha, how do you say that? Discount. Yeah, it's not, like a preparation. Yeah. That godliness should be the main thing. You decided that you want godliness to be the main thing. Decision you made. And the Gashmi is completely secondary to godliness. This causes that your bodily things will become secondary. Now godliness will become the main thing. Now that you did that, furthermore, you're going to want that there be a revelation of the godly light. That godliness should shine in the world, that you could see and it will be revealed the godly light. Even in the physical things, you won't want the physical thing itself, to take pleasure in it. You will only want to receive from the life force, the godly life force within the physical thing. Because this, you're only going to want what you for sure need. v'lo b'ma shehu motorot, and not what is extra. V'gam b'ma shemurchach, and even the things that you need. Tachlit chivtzo v'ratzono lekabel chayut, chayuto ma'or v'chayut v'ki. The main desire is that you're going to want to receive from the godly life force, because you realize that that is the main thing, and that actually gives the most amount of pleasure. It satisfies your soul much more than satisfying your body, and then ruchnis becomes the most real thing, and gashmis doesn't. And even a bena, someone who could be a bena, could reach such a madriga where his soul becomes more and more revealed to him, and then his whole outlook changes on everything. And you want the ruchnis. That's the main thing, and the gashmis is nothing compared to it. Chaim.